Can you build the roof of a house before building the foundation, MC? Tell me.
Nope.
Good evening, guys. Welcome. Today's Wednesday, 9 p.m. and here I am. And here we are actually. Well, MC will be joining us in a few minutes. And I just wanted to welcome you guys. If you haven't joined us in one of our live meetings, I just wanted to say welcome everyone and to say that we are here every Wednesday at 9 p.m. to talk about various topics and to ask for your comment, your participation. We really want to welcome you guys every Wednesday here, and we want to hear from you too, okay? If you don't know me, my name is Renata. I am in Belo Horizonte, Brazil, and my partner MC is in Canada where she works. And I am going to her right now. Would you guys like some cappuccino? It's such a delicious chilly weather here in BH that I felt like drinking cappuccino. Hey!
How are you?
I'm better now that I grabbed a cappuccino real quick in literally 2 minutes in the kitchen before we started our lesson today. Okay, so I'm going to get this a little farther. Yes.
Perfect now.
Can you read?
I can. Oh, can you build the roof before the foundation?
I can zoom in a little more like that.
Perfect. Now it's good. Good enough.
Okay, you guys, I won't be able to wave because every time there's a new person, I click on wave and say hi, but I can see you guys. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. Today, we will be talking about the foundation of the house. Can you build the roof of a house before building the foundation, MC? Tell me.
Nope. I guess that wouldn't work.
I guess it wouldn't work. You guys, can we? I want to hear the comments today. I feel like interacting. We are both isolated socially, and we really feel like interacting with you guys. So please leave your comments and your questions here too. Well, guys, since our job here is to help you boost your English and boost your career by boosting your English, we would like to talk to you about something that we really think will be helpful. And that is the forgotten boys, the lost boys, the topics that get the double tick, the blue tick on WhatsApp, and just wait for your reply, and you just never reply to them. That's what we're going to talk about. Some topics that are neglected, ignored, forgotten, because for many reasons. I have a couple theories. You guys can tell me and tell us what you think. MC, you can tell me too what you think about that. But I just feel like sometimes we neglect the easy topics because we think they're not as important as something more complex and a fancy vocabulary, expression, word, whatever, or fancy grammar. But we end up forgetting what we learned when we first started learning English, and that is the foundation of the house. We can't just build the roof and get real complex, cool vocabulary or grammar if we don't get the foundation right. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about this sentence, MC?
Well, I guess it's pretty accurate. And you know what? It seems very obvious. But at the same time, that's not what usually we do. As we progress with our English, we tend to ignore the foundation. And you know what? Sometimes we need to revisit the foundation. Sometimes we need to go back and make sure those winds that are blowing out there are not going to tear our house down.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's me exploring more the sentence right now.
Wow.
Hashtag
what an
inspired.
Analogy. Brothers and sisters, what an analogy. So I'm going to bring my 14-year experience in the classroom, and I'm going to give you guys what I think. I picked some topics in MC. I would like to hear from you what you feel, what you see, since you work in Canada and you have Brazilian speakers or from other nationalities too speaking English, the same way as you do have native speakers that need to understand those people. I want to hear what you think as well. And I want to hear from you guys. We have 3 topics that we're going to bring today. It doesn't mean they are the only ones or they are the ones you should pay attention to the most, because there are a lot of basic topics that we think are being neglected. But we are going to talk about 3 today. And I want you guys to, as we are talking about it, send us the comments and tell us if you think that's easy for you, or if you do feel like that's something you don't get right, or when you speak, it's something hard for you or not. That's what we're going to do now. Okay, so about the sentence and getting to know the basic first, I want us to, I'm going to do my analogy now. Okay?
Go for it. Be my guest.
My turn. Okay, so when you think of someone really successful like Cristiano Ronaldo, he's a reference in the world of soccer, and I'm not a huge soccer fan. I don't know much about it, but I know he's a reference, you know. That gives you the idea of how, you know, amazing he is, because I'm not a huge soccer fan and I still know who he is. So do you really think that it would be possible for him to get a trophy as the best soccer player in the world if he didn't know how to kick?
No way.
What do you think came first? Learning how to kick really well and learning the easy kick and then the hard kicks, or the trophy of best soccer player in the world?
Learning how to kick.
Exactly. So we neglect the easy because it was easy for us to learn. Maybe we don't appreciate it so much, you know? So we're gonna slow down and get back to basic. We do sometimes need to look at ourselves, analyze our English, and you know, be humble enough to recognize that we need to fix things. Before we learn something new, we need to fix something. And I want you guys to do that tonight. If you are watching this live, or if you're watching this at a later moment, do that. And let's see what you feel, what you think about it. As far as what is a priority to learn, you know, and what should I pay attention to? That's what we're trying to do here tonight. Help you identify what topics will matter, what topics are basic but make a huge difference in what you're trying to say in your communication. And today we're going to talk about structure. It's not something we talk about every week. It's something that we talk about every now and then here on the live, okay, during the live. But we do talk a lot about it on YouTube and on IGTV. But we wanted to interrupt the pronunciation live lessons to talk about structure today. And pronunciation versus structure. As you guys can see, I am very technological, and I got to...
I think you need to zoom out.
I can't, yeah, okay. I can't read what I wrote, but you guys can read what I wrote. Because I needed to invert the words so it would come out. Pronunciation versus structure. MC, what is your point of view in relation to the priority that English learners give to both topics?
So as you progress in your learning experience, you tend, well, based on my point of view, okay, it's not a rule and it's not something that I heard from somebody or an expert. But what I see the most is people focusing a lot on pronunciation, believing that that's the key point or the turnaround that they need in order to be advanced or fluent or have an advanced command in the language. However, pronunciation, it is a big deal because, well, sometimes that creates a barrier in the communication. However, we, and I'm going to include myself in this, tend to neglect structure a lot and forget about the basic things and forget about the rules, the key things in how to properly say something. And we can give several examples, so I'm not going to even bother to mention all the examples. We're going to explore those examples in the live, but be mindful of that. Sometimes you think that pronunciation is in the way of a good communication when you're not even applying the grammar rules or the basic things properly. And that's probably creating a barrier way more than pronunciation per se. Because you know what? It's okay to have an accent. It's okay not to pronounce perfectly every word. But if you get the structure right, chances are that you're going to be understood easier.
Yeah, if you guys have any kind of testimony, if you have ever felt that or felt the opposite, leave it in the comments too. What I think about that, I was thinking about that, you know, paradigm here of pronunciation versus structure, you know, which one to prioritize. And then I was thinking that pronunciation might be something that you get the feedback right then, right there. If the person didn't get what you said, they're going to tell you, like, I'm sorry, I have like no idea what you're trying to say. And if you mess up the structure of, you know, in a way that you get by, the listener will get you. They're not going to tell you, hey, you made a mistake in the structure. Maybe then you feel that pain of not communicating well more when you pronounce something wrong than when you make a mistake in the structure. But to the listener, you know, they might get the structure or they might think they got it, but still, like it's your window. The way you speak is your window. It shows how much you have to give, how easy your work is, how easy how much your work can flow. That's something that I mentioned in the last video. If there is a barrier in your communication, you won't be the person that they use as a reference when they have a problem and they need to fix it quick, you know, really quickly. So maybe that's why I was thinking about, I have that theory. If you feel like that's true, that's the case, then focus, find a balance. We're not saying you have to ignore pronunciation, but don't invest only on that, when in fact, chances are you need to work on structure too. From, you know, our experience, from what MC sees in real life, in the work market, in a big company, people speaking English every day at work, and from what I see in the classroom too, many years working with students from the basic all the way to the advanced course. So let's go to our topic number one. Now I learned I have to zoom out and then, okay, basic mistakes. Topic number one, MC's dog was a lie. Okay, if you guys know MC personally, you know that she's one of the best storytellers. That she can stop a room and everybody's gonna listen to her telling stories. And she cracked me up the other day with this story, but we're not gonna get into details right now. If you wanna know the story, leave it in the comments, send us a DM. She will be happy to share. Maybe she will, because it was a sad story. But anyway, MC's dog was a lie. MC's dog, this is the possessive case with the S that we wanted to bring to your attention. Guys, do you use it? Do you say, every time you need to say, hey, because I was talking to my director and my coworker's project and my client's complaint, my clients and my team's necessities? Or do you say the necessity of my clients, the project of my boss? Think about it. Which one do you use? Because this is the right one. You can't just live your life using the Portuguese logic of the possession of someone. In English, you have someone's possession. You have to use the possessive case. And chances are you're not using it. MC, am I crazy, or does it make sense?
It does make sense. So this is, especially when you need to speak fast, this is something that you just sometimes forget. And in the Portuguese logic is the one that's going to stand out. And then the dog that MC has, or something, you even add more words trying to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Because it's not only about adding the of, but it's also adding the, that, or something like that.
I remembered something else that a lot of people do, which is just not saying the S and saying like, my mother birthday, MC dog, you know, forgetting that there is an S there, maybe because we associate the S with plural a lot in Portuguese. And then also forgetting to say the S. It doesn't come out. That's also a mistake I see. And another mistake related to possessions is the possessive pronoun, which is, you know how when you say like, I like my coffee black, she likes hers, I don't know, with cream. So that hers, that substitutes her coffee, is also touching that point of using too many words to say something simple. You become repetitive because you don't master that word, like, oh, but she did hers like that, we did ours like that, instead of saying we did our project, you know, and adding that word. We should know how to use that naturally, you know, automatically.
On that note, Renata, I guess it's important to highlight something as well. Probably this mistake is more often heard than in a written form. So as we learn English, we tend to understand easily that this is something that we're going to write down. Or if you see some sort of mistake in a written form, you can identify right away. The problem is when you need to speak fluently and you need to communicate better orally, like verbally, and having a proper conversation.
And having no time to rehearse, and having
No.
no Google Translator to help you, and having no dictionary in front of you to look up. It's real life. It's live. There's no rehearsal, right? So that was the number one mistake. You guys, let us know if you want a full video on possessive case or other possessions in general, because we do know this is counterintuitive because the possessor comes before the possession, and then it's kind of hard to get the logic and kind of master and stick that logic into your brain. So that's kind of what is difficult to do. I can see we have a question here from David. Yes, we are Brazilian. Both of us
Both
are
of us.
Brazilian. We are actually from the same city too, but one of us lives in Brazil and MC lives in Canada.
So, alô, Belo Horizonte.
Let's move on to the second topic. Basic mistakes, number 2. You want to be rude, no?
You want to be rude, correct? Right? Hey?
That's how you see it happening. This was supposed to be
all the time, to be honest, and I don't want to be here the one pointing fingers at other people, okay? So be mindful that all the examples that we have here, I'm also the one who makes those mistakes and who often forget about those. So don't worry, you're not alone. Let's just be aware of that, because the more aware you are, the chances are you're going to nail it soon enough.
Yeah. Recognizing that you make that mistake is the first step. Thank you, David. Thank you so much. Well, so you want to be rude, no? You're saying you do that all the time, MC, but I know how much of a Virgo you can be, and I'm pretty sure it's not all the time, but you see it coming out of you. Yeah, sure. Today, my cousin sent me something. Thanks to Do. He's actually watching us now. Yeah, he's actually with us every week. And he sent me a video, like a little piece of a series, and the woman was saying, you read the profile. And why did she do that? Because she knew that, or she thought, because she saw like a laptop open with the information, she saw, and she was 90% sure he had read the profile. So instead of saying, did you read the profile? She was like, you read the profile. She was curious, or maybe a little shocked, because she thought he did. She was just confirming what she already thought was true.
Yeah.
So a native speaker knows when to use that kind of construction that doesn't have the do, the did, the does, just has the affirmative sentence with an intonation of question. But we still don't know how to do that. When we still don't know how to do that, we have to ask questions properly. And this is such a polluted way to ask a question. It can, it can bring about a bunch of other questions, second questions, that fall into that problem that I mentioned before. If there are 2 people in the company, there are 2 people in the business, one of them is super competent, so is the other one, but this one solves the problems quick because the communication is effective. This one struggles. Even if it's 15%, 20% more, who is the client going to look for? Who is the supplier, whoever has a problem, going to look for? Of course, it's the person that can handle things, communicate better, and solve the problem easier, quicker, and so on. And we actually posted a video last night, about questions. Guys, it's a 30-minute video. I prepared it carefully because I wanted to clarify and clear out all the possible questions you guys could have about questions. So it's like a guide from zero. The first 10 minutes about what is a question, the types of questions that there are, the structure that we can use in most questions, and then 8 minutes with the exceptions maybe you want to start. Do you want to start from minute 11? Go for it. Go straight to the exceptions. And then the last 7 minutes exercises. And I mentioned all the why it is so important to ask questions properly. This is one of the structures that we learn at lesson 2 of the first semester studying English, maybe lesson 4, I don't know, day 4, because it's we need the interrogative, we need the affirmatives, the interrogatives, and the negatives. Basically, that's what we need, and here they are. We can't just let them slide like that and think that we can ask them in Portuguese with an intonation, and that's it.
Yeah, so the question that I often get when I say things like that is that a question? Like, are you asking me? So yeah, be mindful that just changing your intonation is not going to work. They don't have that, so they don't understand unless you actually use the proper, invert the way, so it's counterintuitive. It's not the way we do in Portuguese. Chances are they're not going to understand. So avoid the right, correct, no, a at the end of the sentence is just changing the intonation. So instead of you want to be rude, no. So don't you want to be rude or something like that? That's the appropriate way to go about that.
Yeah, and you were actually mentioning something else, which is the negative interrogative. If the sentence like, you want to be rude, no, you don't even know if the person is asking, do you want to be rude? Don't you want to be rude? They're completely different. The two questions are completely different. We have to be careful when asking. So if you want a negative interrogative to confirm something, hey, don't you want to do it? Shouldn't you do that? You have a question for that. You have a shouldn't you do it? Or you have a tag question. You should do that, shouldn't you? There is no you should do that, correct? You should do that, no. You should do that, right? All the time. Of course, you can use that every now and then, but you can't rely on that all the time, as the rule. That is one way to say it, but the most objective way, the most logical way to do it is to ask using a tag question or a negative interrogative or an interrogative properly. So I really recommend you guys go and to IGTV or YouTube and watch. I gave some examples, some funny examples. Well, at least I think they were funny, of situations where you can say something and mean something different. Like ask for a recommendation and people will think you're giving one, and that could be a little worrisome depending on what you're talking about. It can be dangerous, right? Okay. Anything else to add? Okay, so next topic number 3, the last one that we have for tonight is the S is not always plural. The S is very much associated in Portuguese with the plural. So you have table, tables in Portuguese, right? Mesa, mesas. But in English, when we are thinking about the simple present in the third person, we need the S. She goes, she has, she likes. Then it's kind of hard for us to understand that is actually singular. I like is singular. She likes is also singular. And then a lot of times I see people forgetting that S, or either confusing, mixing up when to use that S. So the simple present is something we use a lot. You guys, why do we learn the simple present, simple past, simple future, verb to be before? Because they are more used. Because statistically speaking, we need them more. I've already said that here. So if we need them more, that means we're going to use them more, and that means we're going to make more mistakes if they are not beautifully molded and beautifully introjected into our minds. So pay attention to that. Do you guys make that mistake? Do you always, or I like to say 90% of the time, do you use your he, she, and it's in the affirmative form in the simple present correctly? Do you always say my mother likes, and besides my mother, my father also enjoys, and then my family, my brother does, my boss likes? Do you do that or not? If you want a lesson on that too, to review, okay, to exercise and fix that mistake, because I want us to practice and do exercises that will fix that. Even though you know the theory, I know you know the theory, but I want you to stop making that mistake. And the only way to do that is by practicing. MC, what do you think about topic number 3?
It is practicing it, and it is being aware of what you listen to. And don't neglect that. It seems easy, it seems so obvious, but you know what? Those are the kind of mistakes that kind of hurt, you know? It's like hard to hear. And it's the difference between, it's a fine line between a very good English and a poor English, regardless of pronunciation, regardless of intonation. Focus on a crispy, clear English and pronouncing those words correctly. That's gonna add some value to your conversation.
And
So yeah. Oh, go
no,
ahead.
go ahead.
Sometimes I make the mistakes like, oh, they have, or she has those. Sometimes I don't know what happens to my brain and I make those mistakes, but then I stop and correct, but then I lose some time and lose some thinking, and maybe I don't even remember what I'm talking about because I'm focused now on my mistakes. So I'm at the point that where I'm aware of that, but at the same time it can be so disturbing. So as long as you practice, that becomes natural. So every time you say something in a different way or hear something in a different way, that's going to trigger the red flag. Oops, that's wrong. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it is practice.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think that you probably have a hard time when the subject is far from the verb. When you start speaking something because you are fluent, because you have a naturality with English, and then you start formulating the sentence in your head, and then it gets far from the subject, and then you end up letting a have instead of a has, go. I can't think of an example right now, but maybe you can think like all my friends that have recently purchased a dog has, because all my friends, plural, have recently purchased a dog, singular, and then you end up saying has. But that's something that even in Portuguese we could do. If that's what's happening, if
Yeah.
that's what happened to you guys too, I think that that's okay, because your brain's like, where's the subject? What is singular? What is plural? And then you go like, wait, no, my friends have. You can correct yourself. But I feel like that happens. I see that happening to even to native speakers.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like you said, when you say like they has or she have, we has, John have, that kind of mistake is something really big, much bigger than we can think, or than we might think. And just think in Portuguese, if someone says a gente fazemos, eles fez, that's the kind of mistake that is. As simple as that. Eles fez. That's it. You're
And you
putting a
know what?
singular when it's supposed to be plural, or the opposite.
People are going to understand you, so they're not going to stop and correct you because of that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is important to be mindful of the impact of those mistakes in your communication and how you are perceived. So our focus is really towards academic and professional English. So we want to make sure you have a good impression, and people are gonna notice you by who you actually are. So those mistakes can be perceived as a lack of I don't know, missing, for lack of a better word. It's not going to bring up and highlight the best of you.
Yeah, sure. And as we said, language is your window. It is your window, and how you present yourself to the world. That's pretty much what it is. If you can't present yourself, with all the qualities you have, you can't communicate so well, it's gonna affect you in other ways. Yeah, so we are here for that. We want to help you guys with that. So I just want to quickly go to the bonus topic, because I feel like we can even leave this to another full video only on that. But just to close our live lesson tonight, bonus topic number 4, memorize your past. This topic, MC, I have a feeling that causes a lot of disruption, and simply, we don't memorize the verbs in the past, the irregular verbs in the past. The regular
Oh,
verbs are easier. They're similar to the infinitive, to the present, to the basic form. But the irregular ones are very much neglected and, just not memorized. And we have to memorize them, guys. I'm sorry, but we do.
yeah. So it's memorizing. There's no way out of that. And let's go for a few examples that I see a lot of mistakes usually. So uh, we have come, came, come again. So depending on the structure that you're using, it's going to be come. It's not going to be came. Another one, fly, flew, flown. Another one, begin, began, begun. So all of those, yeah, it's a matter of memorizing because it's
The
gonna
thing
be,
about came, I think, sorry for interrupting.
yeah,
I thought
go
we were
ahead.
done. The thing about came, I think it's because of the spelling too. Because came is spelled with an A, when you read it, it sounds like come in Portuguese. So there is a big misunderstanding, a big mix up there with that verb. So you say come, but you mean came. You say came, you mean come, and then you're not clear. David said present perfect is hard to understand. That's for sure. Present perfect is hard to understand, to construct, to know when to use. Oh, there's a video about present perfect
Yes, it was one of
on
the first.
one of the first videos, David. Watch it. It's one of the first videos on YouTube and IGTV. It's going to be easy for you to find if you just go down on IGTV, or if you go to YouTube, it's even easier because we have fewer videos there. Only the big lessons go to YouTube. So the simple past, the irregular verbs in the simple past, they need to be memorized, and so do the past participle verbs, as MC is saying, begin, began, begun. But thinking only about the simple past, because we're thinking about the more basic structures here. Without that, you are simply going to be speaking in the present when you are actually talking about the past. But we really need to know, quickly, and it has to be automatic. Like I began, I flew, I drew, I wore, where, wore. You have to know those verbs too, even the easy everyday ones, especially the ones that you're going to use when you're working, when you're having a meeting or something like that. We are actually preparing something really special for meetings. You guys will soon know, but it's going to be a really cool lesson. I think you guys are going to like it.
Of course they will.
Well, that was it. Time is up. Our 30-minute lesson, you guys, we have been doing 30-minute lessons. So if you want to watch us here every week, we are here at 9 p.m. on sharp. Not 1 minute more, not 1 minute less. And we usually finish at 9:30. All right. So this was the topic of the week. We hope it could bring back some topics that you might have forgotten. Leave it in the comments here. Leave it if you want to leave it in our on our feed. Any questions, or I want to hear more about this topic, I really want to study this topic, just let us know. Thank you guys for the little hearts too. We love you guys too. See you guys next week. MC, I love your lipstick.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, partner.
Thank you, and have a great evening, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll always see each other pretty much every day, or talk to each other pretty much every day. But I'll see you here next week, and I'll see everybody next
Here
week too.
next week.
Bye bye.
Perfect.
Thank you guys for joining us. Bye bye.